Boom! Back at it again with another video. Julio here. Now listen, I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. I came across an article, right? This article stated black men are killed at higher rates than veterans. Right? Black men are killed at higher rates than veterans. And when I say veteran, I'm talking about, you know, everyone that is uniformed serving in a war in America, from America. Right? Obviously, when I came across the title of that, it just jarred me. I don't know why. I mean, obviously I'm a black man. I'm 26. I've lived through many different types of places, many different types of people, many different types of cultures. But I've also experienced, you know, violence in the black community. Not me personally. I mean, I have been in fights, but, you know, I wasn't in the streets or anything like that. And, you know, obviously I have family and friends that are, you know, in not the best conditions, you know, living in the hood, living in poverty. And, you know, I get it. I understand. I see what's going on. You know, I see it not as often as I used to see it now that I'm in suburbs. But, you know, when I was younger, I hear stories all the time. So this topic is nothing new to me. Like, black men getting killed, you know, through gun violence. But for black men to be getting killed at higher rates than soldiers, that's just crazy. So I wanted this video today to be about, you know, what I'm seeing, you know, what can be done to stop or at least decrease this problem, because it is a huge problem, and just my overall thoughts on how we even got here. Now, obviously, the biggest gun violence related topic in 2023 is mass shootings. But I bet you guys would be surprised to know that mass shootings only accounted for 3% of total gun violence in, I think, 2021. I'm going to link the data and all the facts and figures that I'm mentioning in this video below. 3%! And we hear about mass shootings all the time in America. I bet y'all be surprised to hear this, or maybe not surprised to hear this, but most shootings occur in impoverished urban areas. And guess who lives in impoverished urban areas? Yep, you guessed it. A lot of black Americans. Let me read y'all this stat real quick. The majority of gun homicides occur in specific neighborhoods with concentrated disadvantage, characterized by high crime rates, illegal drug markets, poverty, limited education and economic opportunities, and residential instability. These are the communities that gun violence is taking place in. These are also the communities that black people are mostly living in. There's also another piece of that. That means that it's not happening everywhere. It's not like a widespread thing where it's happening in every, you know, city. But it is happening in a lot of the bigger ones. And in the study I'm going to quote, or I'm going to reference in this video, the study compared shooting rates in Philadelphia, Chicago, New York, and Los Angeles. And they, you know, countered that with the casualty rates of US personnel during the recent campaigns in Iraq and Afghanistan. So about half of the shootings that took place in those urban areas, it occurred in just about 1 to 5% of the land area in US cities, indicating a high concentration in a small percentage of the nation's spaces. So when we contrast that with military personnel that's overseas, that fought in wars, they're saying that for some young men, it might be safer to go to war. That's crazy, right? That's insane. Like, I just can't. Unfortunately, young black men, you know, we are disproportionately affected. And, you know, what does that do to our youth? Children in those areas, I mean, they have to be going through it, right? I mean, have to be insanely mentally just struggling, right? I mean, they have to be always living in trauma, always fearing for their lives. I mean, a lot of people I know, I used to live in Chicago. I was on West Side Chicago, near West Loop. But, you know, we hear a lot of stuff about the South Side of Chicago. They were talking about gang members not even allowing regular civilian kids to go to school without, you know, talking to them and trying to get them to join the gang. Imagine waking up, walking to class, like walking to school, right? And, you know, see your neighborhood members just posted up somewhere, anywhere, and they are a constant reminder that you are kind of undersage, right? When you're from a certain block and you go to a central school, a school in a central location in a neighborhood, because you remember a lot of these gangs aren't super far apart. Some gangs are literally blocks away from each other, but they're all converging into that one school. What does that mean for you? So that's where the thought comes from. A lot of the members, they want people from their neighborhoods, people from their blocks to be protected. But that's a whole other topic for a whole other video, and I am probably not the most qualified to even really speak on it. That is, of course, what I have heard and what, past friends have told me, yada yada. But I say all that to say that is messing with the youth's mental. And I would just imagine that it really is trauma. There's trauma that's just in the brain at all times throughout the rest of their life. And there's not an easy fix for that, right? And that's kind of what leads to problems just later on. And obviously that's just one example, but still needs to be noted nonetheless. So here's some more stats for you. So the most violent zip code in Philadelphia had young men 1.91 times more likely to be killed by a firearm than a US soldier deployed to Afghanistan for a comparable amount of time. In Chicago, I'm just talking about this. In Chicago's most violent neighborhood, young men were 3.23 times as likely to die from a bullet than the US service members deployed to Afghanistan. That's crazy. So there were some limitations to the study. I can't just speak for the what they're saying is, my bad, y'all. I can't just say, what they're saying is facts. There's always going to be something that is limiting the study. One of those things that are limiting the study is that the study acknowledges potential limitations such as the inclusion of non-combat personnel in military casualty data, which basically is saying, people that are like in intel or people that, don't take up arms in the military, they're including them in the casualty data. And then the research also focused particularly on the most violent years in the US to date, so that's 2020 and 2021. So where does that leave us as a people, right? How do we stop, or how do we slow down the rate of Black death by guns? Well, a lot of the opinions that I have aren't the most popular, and I probably will catch flack for it, but it's just my opinions. But I don't think, it's not as easy as, it's not an easy solution. There's not a one-size-fits-all solution. And of course, there is 100% unequivocally, without a doubt, systemic racism involved. But again, we won't go through things that we can't control. These solutions that I would have are things that I'd say that we can control, because systemic change takes time. But there are some things I think we as a people can do better, that's for sure. The number one thing that I think that we can change as a people to slow the sickness that is inhibiting the youth and inhibiting our people is to create a better family structure. I'm gonna put a graphic up on the screen right here. I'm gonna put a graphic up. What do y'all see in this graphic? Just tell me what y'all see. Just take a nice look at it, maybe pause the video. Let me tell you what I see. Too many African American families are growing up without father figures in the household. And I don't think that's any surprise to anybody. Shoot, I'm one of those people too. But if you look at the chart, and I have it right here in front of me, for white non-Hispanics, let's just look at the mother only. Let's look at and this is of course living arrangements of children under 18 by race and Hispanic origin, 2020, all right? So let's look at the white non-Hispanic, that first line there. They're talking about 13.4% of non-Hispanic white households have a house where only the mother is living in that thing. All right, only the mother. Now let's look at the Asian households. All right, they got 7.8%. 7.8% of Asian households have single mothers in it. All right, 7.8% of Asian households have single mothers. All right, now let's look at the Hispanics. You know, let's shout out my Latinx community. My girl is Latinx. 24%. All right, 24% of Latinx or Hispanic households have single mothers living in it. Now let's look at the black household. All right, 46.3% of black households have only mothers living in it. Single mothers. That's almost half of every black household in America. Half of every black household in America has single mothers. How can that be? Why is that a thing? That's what I want to know. I want to know where we went wrong. Because if you look at other data, I mean, you can see that it's not a new problem, but it definitely wasn't as pronounced as it is today, 2023. And of course, these stats are from 2020, but it's only been 3 years. It probably could have gotten worse. Maybe it could have gotten better. Either way, it's elevated as the next step down are the Latinos at 24%. That's a quarter. We're at half. I think we can do a better job with that. I don't know what we gotta do, but I think we can do a better job than that. So let's go to my next topic. And it's actually a perfect segue. I think that there is a leadership problem in the black community. And specifically, leadership from black fathers or black men, just in general. When you look at every other kingdom, every nation, every country, every successful military, every successful school, every successful, any type of organization, just plop any organization in there. And this is not a knock to women. This is not a knock to women. What I'm about to say is not a knock to women. It's just what has been our history, right? Worldwide, for the most part. When you look at every successful organization, every successful group of people, you want to know who was at the head of that successful organization or that successful group of people? A man. And again, please don't get offended, because the point I'm trying to make has nothing to do with women. There are great female leaders everywhere. Great female leaders that are leading great, successful organizations. I'm talking about the whole. The whole, right? You gotta look at the collective. And we all know that men are more in charge than women most of the time, depending on where you're at, right? So I think there's no difference between that same sentiment and a group of people like a race, right? I think there's been so much incarceration, right? That's systemic. There's been so much poverty. That's systemic for the most part. But what would happen if our black men took a stand? Our black men got together, did something great. You know, you look at the fraternities, the alphas. You look at the Qs, right? You look at the SIDs, right? All of them are, their whole purpose, I mean, even the sororities as well, but the whole purpose of those fraternities and sororities are to uplift the black community. And they are all great men and great women that got together for a common cause. They united, right? They didn't bicker, which man, I should actually add that to as another bullet point of what we can improve. But they came together to unite and to create something good for the race, right? I mean, a lot of them host programs, a lot of them are leaders in their communities, a lot of them are giving back to the community in some way. I think there needs to be more of that, you know? But specifically by men though, and I'll tell you why. Men are the ones that typically are leading the households, Men are the ones that are typically leading people, right? And there's something about a man's leadership that is, I don't know, I don't want to say authoritative, but there's something that's just different about male leadership than female leadership. Especially when, and really specifically, when we're talking about males themselves. And I'm pretty sure there are more men that have been born than women for the past few years at least. So what would that say? That would say that in the future there's going to be more men than women if there is not already. And I think those men will need more leadership from more men. I was a son that lived with a single mom. And for whatever reason, I just had more, I listened to more when my father or my uncle or my grandfather would tell me something. Why is that? I don't know. I feel like women, girls, young daughters, I think they listen to the father more often than their mother. Why is that? I don't know. If y'all can tell me what that is about human psychology, let me know in the chat. Nevertheless, that is something that I think we can do better. That's something that we can control. We can control that. More black men can rise up and step up to the plate. You know what I'm saying? I don't have any doubts about that. The next thing I think we can do better, I'm gonna drop another data table right here. Look at this graph. Look at this graph, y'all. Tell me what y'all see in this graph. Take a look. Look at it. It's going to take you a minute. It might take you a minute to see what I'm about to point out here. But it's there. All right, I'll come back to the video. Listen, when you look at this chart, the first thing that I notice is that the blacks, us blacks, right? We're not spending the same amount as our white and Asian counterparts. What does that mean? That means that we don't have as much money as those white and Asian counterparts. And I know that one column says white and all other races, so we'll group the Latinos in there as well. So we don't make as much as everyone else, and we are not spending the same. However, if you were to look closely, look at a few columns away. Here, let me look at it too. Look at a few columns away in that middle column. Where is that? Apparel and services. Apparel and services, y'all. We spend more money in apparel and services than the whites do in all other races. The only ones that look like they're beating us are the Asians in apparel. How many of y'all always wanted the latest Gucci, always wanted the latest Nike, always wanted the latest any type of brand name gear that you could find? Yeezy, Adidas. How many of y'all, listen, I'm wearing Lululemon right now. I'm wearing my Yeezys right now, all right? I mean, I get it. I'm grouped in. I'm not saying I'm better. I'm not saying I'm different. I'm just saying, why are we spending more money on apparel than any other race? I think our priorities are out of whack. And why do I mention that? I mention that because even in my own experience, my race, I love y'all to death, man. Y'all are some of the most stylish, swaggerific, swagged up type of people I've ever been around, all right? But listen, y'all, we don't always gotta be seen. That's what it is. We always wanna be seen. We gotta show out and show up to everywhere we go, which is not a bad thing. But why do we gotta be waiting in line for the next Jordans? Why we gotta be killing each other over that? And I remember hearing stories about that. I don't know if that's still a thing as much as it used to be, but I know motherfuckers were killing people for Jordans, killing people for shoes. Why do we want to be seen so much? Who are we trying to impress? I think we all know the answer to that. I think there's something wrong, something going on internally. There's something going on internally. But listen, we gotta get over that though. We're much better. We're much more than what we're wearing, right? We're much more than the Gucci slides. We're much more than the Yeezy sandals. We're much more than the brands that don't even like us. We're much more than that. And I think, when we start to get our priorities straight, that's obviously just one example, but I think it says a lot about us. When we get our priorities straight, and value the other things, value, more financial literacy, value more financial education, value more financial decisions, better financial decisions, that is. I think that would go a long way in curbing this problem. And then last but not least, but I think this goes into so much, I've been seeing, I don't know if you guys have been seeing the same things, but on my Twitter, tell me why we have these boot-head ass kids putting their hands on teachers. Why? When? Listen, I was born in 97, all right? I'm class of 2015 for high school. I have never in my entire life thought of putting my hands on a teacher. I have never wanted to. I used to be, listen, I was a kid just like everybody else. Yes, they used to bother me, but listen, never put my hands on them. I'm seeing these little middle schoolers, all right? These little yay high, you know what I'm talking about? Fighting teachers, fighting them, getting suspended, getting expelled. And y'all say, y'all wonder why the teachers don't want to be in inner city schools. Why don't the teachers want to be in inner city schools, y'all? I think I have an idea. I think some of these people, some of these kids, I ain't gonna say the kids. I think some of these kids' parents aren't doing their job. I think some of y'all ain't doing y'all jobs. I think there can be better parenting. That goes into the leadership that I was just talking about. You see, kids, they do everything that you do, right? I did everything that my uncle did growing up. I did everything that I saw my grandfather do. I did everything I saw my mama do. I did everything I saw my grandmother do. Kids are impressionable. They're gonna copy the things that you're doing. And when you don't check a potential problem that you can see, maybe your kid is asking for, this is just a small example. Maybe your kid is spoiled. Your kid asks to do everything and you say yes to everything. There's never a no. Where does that go? Where does that go when they're 16 years old and they've been told yes their whole lives? And I think a lot of people, a lot of young parents, a lot of them rely on the grandma, right? My mom relied on my grandma at a certain point in time. A lot of black kids, a lot of young black kids live with their grandparents. I don't know why. I have some ideas, but I think that, discipline still needs to be a thing. And you guys could be. Those parents could be disciplining their kids, but something's not working. Something's not working because Miss Johnson's getting her ass beat every day. You know what I'm talking about? Like, it's a problem, man. It's a big problem. These kids are lacking respect, not respecting authority. And we won't get into the law enforcement thing, but you gotta respect authority now. I'm as black as they come, but I do believe in authority. I don't think that there should be just a free-for-all happening in the streets, right? Can't have that. There needs to be authority. And any mature person will realize that there needs to be authority in some form. Order needs to be in place, baby. Order needs to be in place, all right? Because, listen, I don't know about y'all, but I ain't trying to have what was that movie? What was that movie? I ain't trying to have a purge now, all right? Some of y'all want to purge, but listen, I ain't trying to have all my shit took, all right? I ain't trying to do all that. Yes, give me a cop. If someone's breaking into listen, I don't got any guns, all right? Someone's breaking into my house, I need a cop. Pronto, stat, because I can't. I can't. All right. I do need me a strap, but that's not the point of this video either. But yeah, man, that was what I wanted to talk about today. Yeah, I just think there's a big problem, man. We got our black men, our young black men, just getting killed, man, by gun violence. And you know, I think another thing with that is rap music. Man, I could speak another 30 minutes on that. Boy, my brother, me and him, we always debate on that because he's a rapper himself. But you know, I like the music too. But listen, some of this music is shiesty now. When they get in young ears, you never know what's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I was 12 years old before. I was 12 years old rocking Chief Keef in class, and I thought I could beat everybody's ass in there. All right, I know y'all know what I'm talking about. Listen, the rap music is poisoning the youth too, and it's crazy to me that a lot of these people out here in the suburbs are listening to that music. So I'm like, I mean, yeah, I rock with the music, but you know, the message is sending to your kids though. It's not a good message. And rap is everywhere. The rap culture, everywhere. I mean, the rap culture and the street culture are kind of intertwined now. Some of y'all might not agree with me, but the rap culture and the street culture are kind of intertwined. And I ain't saying nothing because I'm not a street dude. You know, I'm not a rapper. I'm just an observer, all right? I'm just observing. I think that a lot of that street stuff is coming up. It's coming up in the children, and they're thinking they're gangsters, right? They're thinking they hood. But there's a cost with that, you know? So, anyways, y'all, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate y'all. Please comment, like, subscribe, share this video if you feel like it. You know, I like to create videos just for, I'm figuring my little path here. I'm liking just to create videos for y'all just to listen to. Maybe I'll go on another rant like this, you know? I don't know, we'll see. I think, I don't know what my next one will be. I don't know what y'all want me to rant on next. What's my next rant, y'all? Drop it in the comments. Let me know what y'all think. And what do y'all think we can be doing better as a people? I'm talking to y'all, Black America, my dogs, my family. I'm talking to y'all, what can we do better? You know? Because I don't think what we doing now is working. And if y'all disagree with something, let me know in the comments too. We can have a discussion. Y'all can educate me maybe. All right, I'll see y'all.